Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ's live review of NXT Takeover New York. First of all, shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $2.42 super chat before I got going here. He says, "Thank you for the retweet, Aaron. My prediction, yeah." Thank you for the super chat, Caleb. Now, for those of you that would like to send in a super chat, please try to stick to the topic as we go through this review. I do want to mention that after I'm done with this review, if you guys have any other questions or comments regarding WrestleMania, I will be giving my final thoughts on WrestleMania after I do the NXT review. So let's go ahead and recap NXT. New York. According to Mauro Ranallo, it was a record crowd, 15-something thousand. Man, this show was just, it was amazing. Just like every single NXT takeover. I mean, the expectations going in are always high and it always delivers. So let's go ahead and break down the show. Was this the best NXT pay-per-view of all time? That we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. Well, maybe about 15, 20 minutes or so. Shout out to everyone in the chat room for tuning in live. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. Spread the word on social media. Moving on here, NXT TakeOver New York. The first match of the night was the War Raiders versus Ricochet and Aleister Black. War Raiders defending the tag team titles against the winners of the Dusty Classic. Of course, Ricochet and Aleister Black already debuted on the main roster several weeks ago, and they're scheduled for a match at WrestleMania. So, to me, it was a bit predictable that War Raiders would retain the titles here. With that being said, this match was awesome. It was really fantastic, and it just goes to show that even if something is predictable, it can still be really entertaining and fun to watch, as was this match. Perfect example. People felt, yeah, Ricochet and Aleister Black are probably going to lose. But still, the match was so good that you were convinced that we could possibly see a title change. That is a testament to how great all these guys are. So the crowd knew they were in for something great. They were feeling the mood. They were chanting NXT before the match even got started. There was a little bit of mutual respect shown between the two teams to kick things off. I will say this, Virtue mentioned this in the NoDQ chat. If there was one criticism I would have of anything on this show, it would be that there's just too much sportsmanship and not enough clear definition between who's a heel and who's a babyface. But then again, that's just NXT. The fans cheer for whoever they want to cheer. That's the vibe. And I've come to accept that it is what it is. But yeah, every now and then I'd like to see a little bit of sucker punch and breaking the rules and that sort of thing. But, you know, it is more like a sports presentation, basically what All Elite Wrestling is trying to do. So, you know, it is more about the sportsmanship and there being more shades of gray and the fans just decide who they want to cheer for or who they want to boo. But anyways, let's get back to the match. Just great athleticism by everybody involved. And how about Hanson? Hanson is really impressive. To me, like, he stood out in this match. Some of the things he did for a guy his size, really impressive stuff. Caleb Jacobs with a $3.31 super chat says, "I don't know if you got my first super chat." I did, Caleb, and I did give you a shout out at the very beginning of the video, but thank you for another one. I appreciate it. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, "I effing love wrestling. Another perfect takeover." By the way, guys, Virtue was at the show tonight, and if Virtue would like to call in later, maybe we can get his thoughts on the show being there in person. So we'll see what Virtue says about that. Aleister Black hit the Black Mass, and then Ricochet did a shooting star press, and Hansen broke up the pinfall. Again, this was a moment in the match where people thought they were going to get a title change. I mean, it was that convincing. However, War Raiders came back. Ricochet missed the 630, and then Hansen hit the leg drop from the top rope and pinned Ricochet. So War Raiders, still your tag team champions. Afterwards, the teams shook hands. They hugged. They embraced. War Raiders put down the titles and bowed to Ricochet and Black and then left the ring. And that's when you had Ricochet and Black do their curtain call, their farewell to the NXT universe. The Fallout. Thank you for that, Michael Wayne. That's the name of the finisher. I sometimes forget the names of the finishers, but then again, I'm not being paid to remember all the names of the moves. Plus, I don't watch NXT every week, so I'm not really familiar with the names of the moves that much. So I do apologize for that. Tony H with the $2 super chat says, NXT where I can see legit tag team wrestling in WWE. And Connor the Great says Triple H watches NoDQ. Well, he hasn't blocked NoDQ, so that's an encouraging sign that maybe he does, but I doubt it. I don't think he does. He's a very busy man. Does somebody that works beneath him watch? You never know. It's quite possible. So that was the first match, which was just unbelievable. What a way to kick off the show. Great match here. By the way, without giving away the rest of the results here just yet, Kayfabe Candy Ass apparently won the No DQ predictions game that we have going on for tonight at least. So congratulations to Kayfabe Candy Ass for winning the predictions tonight. However, we don't change the predictions championship for NXT shows. So he's gotta just settle with those points. We do count the points for the overall year with our predictions. OG Crush says, my only complaints were how many false finishes the NXT title match had. Well, see, I'll get to that more here in a few minutes. I mean, you could use that as a criticism. This was a show where every match was like a WrestleMania main event. Now, this is WrestleMania weekend. This is the NXT show for WrestleMania weekend. And I guess the idea was to go out there and make every match the best match possible, which for a show like WrestleMania, I'm fine with. Part of my criticism about WrestleMania over the years is that a lot of times the matches don't feel like WrestleMania caliber matches. It feels like, yeah, you have the big stadium, the big entrances, but then in the ring, the matches are just okay. On this show, it felt like everybody went all out to have the best match possible. Show of the year. So yeah, you had a lot of false finishes in multiple matches, and the show flowed so well. I mean, an hour in felt like 20 minutes to me. I mean, that's how invested I was in the show. Moving on here to the next match, we had Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle, bro. Crowd was doing the dual chants for both guys. Again, if I have to nitpick, I'm not sure who the heel is, who the babyface is. Riddle was getting a little bit frustrated during the match when he could not put Dream away, and then he started taunting him, saying, I'm the bro that runs the show. So that made me wonder, was Matt Riddle going to turn heel? I wasn't really sure what to make of that. Of course, Velveteen Dream. Let's talk about his entrance. I mean, he did the big Statue of Liberty entrance. He had Randy Savage-inspired gear. And he even did some moves from Randy Savage's playbook, including the top rope double axe handle. He also did a Hulk Hogan-style comeback, hit the big boot. Another highlight of the match was Matt Riddle hitting that deadlift German suplex and then getting a near fall with the moonsault, twisting moonsault. Again, I don't know what it's called. I'm sure somebody out there does. Somebody out there knows the technical name of every single move in NXT. I'm not that guy, so I apologize if I don't know the correct names of all these moves. And these guys do a lot of moves. I mean, to sound like an old guy, back in my day, there weren't nearly as many wrestling moves. Now everybody's got a move, everybody's got a variation of a move, and every move has its own unique name. So it's hard to keep up with all of it. Apparently that move is called the floating bro. Okay, so there you go. Matt Riddle put on his submission. Again, I don't know what the submission is, but Dream countered it into a pinfall roll-up and retained the North American Championship, which I figured he would since he just won the title and this was actually his first title defense. I guess that's just called the Bro Mission. So there you go. The floating bro, the Bro Mission, the Broplex, the Bro ankle lock, the Bro pile driver. I guess just every move of his is bro. We'll just go with that, bro. After the match, Matt Riddle asked for a fist bump, bro, and Velveteen Dream gave him the fist bump. So there you go. More sportsmanship in NXT. Again, it's just nitpicking on my part, but I want to see some more shady tactics and bad guys doing bad things, which we actually did get a little bit later on the show, which I'll get to here in a few minutes. But yeah, more sportsmanship. I guess both of them are baby faces, so there you go. I thought this was an excellent match. Lots of false finishes, near falls, more crazy athleticism. Velveteen Dream, the guy he's going to be a big deal unless he gets seriously injured or gets frustrated and quits the business. Velveteen Dream, he's got it all. He's got the athletic skills. He's got the charisma. He's got the look. He's got a badass entrance. The music is great. Everything about him screams major superstar. So, yeah, I definitely see big things to come from him. Hamp Connell doesn't. He thinks he's another Fandango. And Awesome JL94 says, I don't see it. So not everybody agrees with me. There you go. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think Velveteen Dream's going to be the next big thing, or do you think he's going to be some lower card comedy guy on the main roster? Keep in mind, the guy is still really young. He's, what, 22, 23 years old? So you gotta keep that in mind. The guy has a lot of time ahead of him. Next up, we had for the United Kingdom Championship, we had Pete Dunne versus Vladimir Kozlov. Walter. Sorry to steal your joke, Virtue, but I could not resist on that one. Hey, I did give you credit, so there you go. Another great match here. Your fairly standard big man versus little guy match. Walter was dominating throughout, and every now and then Pete Dunne would have his little comebacks, doing the thing where he's twisting the fingers to make his comeback. Lots of chops. Cindy says 26 chops. I wasn't counting, but I'm sure that there was a lot of them. That might be an accurate number. There was a time where Dunne actually almost had the match won via submission, but Walter was able to get his foot on the rope. And, I like the commentary here talking about how because of Walter's height, he was able to have more leverage to get his foot on the ropes. So I like that. Announcing, now that I'm talking about that, was just outstanding. Everybody, even Percy Watson is improving. Stinky Toffee 12 with a $2 super chat donation. Better than New Orleans? I will give my thoughts on that at the end, so stay tuned for that. Pete Dunne hit the bitter ending, and Walter actually kicked out of the bitter ending, and people thought that this was going to be it for Walter, but no, Walter kicks out. Walter did a lot of crazy things, like climbing the top rope, and then Pete Dunne got up on top, and then Walter caught Dunne on the top and then hit this insane top rope power bomb and then hit a big splash off the top rope, and the announcers made sure to point out that he doesn't usually go to the top rope. Hits the big splash and wins the NXT United Kingdom Championship thus ending the 685-day reign of Pete Dunne. So yeah, I thought this was the right time for the title change. Great stuff here. Virtue is on the subway right now. I'm sorry, Virtue, you're probably dealing with all the NXT fans doing their chants and stuff, so Virtue's probably just tearing his beard off right now, just having to deal with all the fans. Walter, new United Kingdom champion, and we'll see what happens next for Pete Dunne. He's been in NXT for a while. Will he end up on the main roster soon? That remains to be seen. Next up, we had the Women's Fatal 4-Way match. Shayna Baszler defending against Bianca Belair and Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. Just another great match here. They all went at it. The storyline in this match was that Shirai and Sane were working together at first, and then they started fighting. And then later in the match, Shirai had Shayna Baszler in a pinfall situation, and that's when Sane broke up the pinfall attempt. And then we had Sane hit the insane elbow, but it was Shirai that broke up the pinfall attempt. So it looks like something's going to happen between these two. I'm guessing they'll be feuding in NXT next. Belair had her big moment. She tried to take advantage of the situation, hitting a double KOD, and I did get the name of that move correctly. The KOD to both of them at the same time, but then Baszler immediately came in from behind, put Belair in her submission. I'm sure you guys know what it's called. And Belair eventually tapped out. I'll just call it the Baszler submission. I don't know. So some people surprised that Baszler retained the title here. I was a little bit, but once the match got going and I saw how it was laid out, it really felt to me like Baszler was going to retain. Especially when the announcers were bringing up how at previous NXT takeovers, when there were Fatal 4-Way matches, a new champion was crowned. So it's kind of like making you think, oh, there's going to be another title change, and then there's not a title change. And just the fact that during this match, it also felt like Baszler was kind of in the background for most of it, and the focus was on Io Shirai and Kairi Sane and even Bianca Belair, and Baszler was kind of like just the fourth person in the match. So that made me think too, like at the end, she's going to come in and get the win. Marcus with a $2 super chat says, will we get Sky Pirates versus the Boss and Hug? I don't think so, because I think they're going to be feuding now. I mean, maybe down the line at some point, but it looks to me like based off of this match that they'll be feuding at some point. So yeah, this was another great match. All the women look strong, entertaining stuff. And then we had the main event of the evening, Adam Cole, baby, versus Johnny Wrestling, a.k.a. Johnny Gargano. 2 out of 3 falls match. Gargano came out with Iron Man style ring gear. The crowd was just into Adam Cole like crazy. He got this huge reaction. Everybody doing the Adam Cole baby. And yeah, again, it's nitpicking on my part, but I just miss the days when there was a clearly defined heel. And I guess, yeah, he is a heel and he has his faction. And in this match, the faction interfered. And I feel like at that point, the crowd was starting to react appropriately, booing Cole and cheering for Gargano. But it took a while to get the fans to start booing Adam Cole. Cole did pick up the first fall, as I figured he would, just for the, the idea that Gargano has to win 2 in a row and come back from that. To me, that's what makes sense with this. George Robbins with a $2.29 super chat donation. Shout out from Ireland. What's now for Cole? I will talk about Adam Cole here in just a minute. What's possibly next for him. Power Packers 90 with a $5 super chat. Says, Kyrie and Io keep saying Goman, I'm sorry to each other when breaking up pins in wrestling. Still friends and partners. Well, I guess, maybe the idea is that they're going to keep having sportsmanship or sportswomenship. however you want to say it. And maybe they won't break up, but the vibe I got from it was that they're going to split up and feud with each other. But anyways, back to the main event match here. So Cole picked up the first victory with the last shot. And then Gargano started to make his comeback, and he actually hit one of Ciampa's moves, but that was not enough to put Cole away. And then there was a point where they were both on the outside of the ring, and Gargano could have taken a count-out victory, but instead decided to roll back to the outside, and Cole took advantage of that, of course. So, at this point, Cole's really going into heel mode, and the crowd's starting to get more invested in Gargano as the face and cheering for him. Gargano put on the Gargano escape, and Cole tapped out right away, with the idea being he doesn't want to seriously hurt himself, so then Gargano can get an easy third fall and win the match. The Saint of Taint. Oh, here we go with a $2 super chat. Virtue, the type of blank that cries after sex. And I did not say what he actually wrote because that is completely inappropriate. Tony H with a $5 super chat says, if this crowd was into it from the jump, I wouldn't put this as the best match of NXT history. Well, was this the best NXT match in history? I will address that here in just a moment. Thank you for that super chat, Tony H. So we were at one fall apiece. Both guys were just going back and forth here with big moves. Crowd started chanting both these guys after they knocked each other down with super kicks. There was a huge standing ovation. At one point, Cole even hit a Canadian Destroyer, which Gargano kicked out of. And then Cole started doing the trash talking, the heel shtick, finally. Cole was calling Gargano a failure. Gargano snapped and set up the announce table, but that backfired on him. Cole hit Ciampa's move, the fairy tale ending, on the table. Table did not break. Cole got back in the ring while Gargano was on the outside, and the referee started counting. And the idea here was that Gargano did not want to take the count-out victory, but Cole had no problem whatsoever doing that. However, Gargano somehow made it back in the ring by 9. Cole immediately super kicked him, went for the pin, but Gargano kicked out. So, you could look at it this way, early in the match, Gargano lost to one move from Adam Cole, that one last shot, and then all these other moves are being hit on Gargano, and now all of a sudden he's Superman and kicking out of everything. But it's that WrestleMania style storytelling, so it's fine to me. This is NXT's WrestleMania, so you got to go all out for it. You gotta make it as dramatic as possible. So at this point we had Undisputed Era come out when Gargano got the Gargano escape on, and I think it was Roderick Strong that was distracting the referee, and that's when Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly got in the ring and attacked Gargano. Referee got knocked down and then put back in the ring after Fish and O'Reilly hit their move on Gargano. However, Gargano still kicked out, and then Gargano dumped Adam Cole over the top rope onto Undisputed Era and started taking out all of them. So he's really in Iron Man, Superman mode at this point. Adam Cole went for another last shot, but Gargano kicked out this time. Despite all this other punishment in the match, he still kicked out because he was, in fact, in Super Gargano mode. Cole went for another last shot, but Gargano countered into the Gargano escape, and after a few moments of tension, would Cole get out of it or not? Cole finally tapped out, and we have a new NXT champion, Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling. We had Candice LeRae come out after the match. It was acknowledged by the announcers that Gargano was now a Triple Crown winner in NXT. And then they were celebrating on the stage. Tommaso Ciampa came out. They did the same gimmick where the credits rolled up and then Ciampa walked from behind them. I love this because it is a callback to how this whole thing started with them, how the whole feud got going. So it's like we did get that full circle, and we got that closure with them where Ciampa walked behind them, but instead of attacking them, he was wearing a neck brace, by the way. Ciampa gave them a big hug and they embraced, and that's how the NXT TakeOver New York show ended. So there you go. 5 matches, just under 3 hours. Amazing show. I mean, I love the ending. Everything about this show was top notch. So I will be talking about my final thoughts on WrestleMania here in a minute. What's next for Adam Cole? That I don't know. I have talked about before the idea that maybe Cole could break away from Undisputed Era at some point. They could turn heel on him for failing to get the job done. So there is something in the future for Adam Cole. It's just a matter of what. Dylan with a $5 super chat says, when the story is told well, even heels who get cheered can get booed, i.e. Ciampa, Bryan, and Owens in NXT. Very well said, Dylan, and I agree with you on that. Caleb Jacobs with a $2 super chat says, Johnny Champion. So let's see. Let's do the letter grade now. OG Crushes says, best NXT TakeOver to date. Kev Dog with an A+. Let's see some of these letter grades. Ryan with an A+++. Kinta with an A+. Israel with an A+. Noah with an A. Keith Johnson with an A++++++++. Cindy with an A. Michael Wayne A. Chris Mace A. Josh Mansfield A+. Caleb Jacobs A+. Ham Connell's trolling F-. Kev Dog with an A+. Kevin Gearhart 4.95 out of 5 stars. Dylan with an A-. Mike Nixon with an A+, Caitlin with an A, Daniel with an AA+. And also Kushida from New Japan Pro Wrestling was also in the crowd. He has signed with NXT now. So hopefully he has a better run than Kenta, a.k.a. Hideo Itami. All right, so my letter grade. To me, this was perhaps the best NXT show ever. I mean, it's right up there with New Orleans and the first NXT Brooklyn for me personally. I'm giving it an A+. I think it was pretty much a flawless show. I don't know how I could have done it better. Maybe have one heel turn on the show. Maybe that's the only thing I would have done differently. Maybe have Matt Riddle turn heel or something. But yeah, this was pretty much a perfect show. A+. Every match was great. And how often can you say that? Every match was great. Main event had the happy ending. Finally, Johnny Gargano gets a win. This might be my first A+. I don't even remember the last time I gave a show an A+. So I feel like if I'm going to give one, it's this show. So this show gets my A+. And I don't give them out very often. So there you go. Again, I don't even remember what I gave. I'd have to go back and watch the NXT TakeOver video I did last year to see, because I don't remember what I gave New Orleans. I might have given an A+ or an A, but I don't remember for sure. And that first NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn is one of my favorites as well. So there you go. And for anybody out there that says I'm negative all the time, just show them this video. Just goes to show I'm capable of giving shows high ratings. I have no idea where Virtue went. Dylan with a $5 super chat says, nope, Kushida will get thrown in the 205 Live basement. I mean, I sense he'll be in NXT for a while, and maybe in a couple years the landscape of WWE will change. So that's one optimistic way to look at it, I suppose. Ryan says, so how high is Gargano Cole on your all-time list? Well, it's very high because that match was what fans have been wanting to see for the longest time. Gargano finally getting the big win after all these years of coming up short. And I was really sensing it too when the announcers kept making a big deal how he's been unable to win at these big events. Mike B with a $5 super chat says, good luck to WrestleMania comparing to this great show. It's going to be tough. Now, if we take the best half of WrestleMania and put it up against NXT, WrestleMania might be able to hold its own because you got a lot of potential with WrestleMania with some of those matches. But it is an 8-hour show, and you know you're going to have some filler, and you're going to have matches that don't have any crowd heat, matches that lack overall excitement. They're not going to have all the near falls. They're not going to have, all the big spots. They're going to be slower paced. So, yeah, it is sometimes difficult to compare the two because, one show's 3 hours, the other is 8 hours. But yeah, any other comments or questions you guys have about WrestleMania, I will go ahead and give my final thoughts on the show. And Virtue says he's not going to call in, so there you go. Now, if there's anybody that's watching this right now and you were at Takeover, let me know, and I would be happy to have you call in real quick and give your thoughts on the show. George says Gargano is the new HBK. And OG Crushes says, do you think Johnny Gargano has a big future in WWE? Yeah, I definitely see him being a big deal. But it looks like for now he's going to stick around in NXT. There's been this talk that with Ciampa being injured, Gargano's going to stay in NXT. And obviously he is the new NXT champion. So I think maybe WWE is going to keep him in NXT for a bit longer. Ham Kano with a $5 super chat says, how do you feel about Kurt Angle beating Baron Corbin in 1 minute and then Cena comes out and then they have a real farewell match? I would be totally fine with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. In my opinion, that would be the right thing to do. Have Angle win and then have Cena come out. Now, allegedly, John Cena is going to have a match at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle even said he expects Cena to be there and probably have a match. So it's quite possible that will happen. Angle will beat Corbin and then John Cena will come out and they'll do one final match to end Kurt Angle's career on a high note. Who knows? George Robbins, they would really bury Corbin? Yeah, I think they would. Tommy, if you would like to call in, I do have Skype open, so this is going out to Tommy only. Tommy, if you would like to call in and give us your thoughts on NXT, I will take your call here. And Ryan is saying call in, Tommy. My voice needs a break anyway, so Tommy, if you would like to call in, go for it. OG Crushes says nobody cares about Baron Corbin, be real. And who knows about Undertaker, too? I don't know if Undertaker... I mean, we really didn't talk about this. So, when we did the NoDQ predictions for WrestleMania, I don't think we even brought up The Undertaker during the entire show. And that's kind of sad, too. Tommy says, on the subway, I keep dropping internet. When I get off, I'll call. Oh, man. So I guess a bunch of you are on the subway right now. I know Virtue just said he was having issues. I don't know if I'm going to be staying on that much longer unless you guys have some other comments or questions regarding WrestleMania. I just got to preserve my voice. Somebody asked me about the that New Japan / Ring of Honor show. I am not going to be watching it. I will be watching the Hall of Fame. However, if Cindy and Noah want to do a review video, that will be up on the NoDQ channel. Greg Cherry has access to stream on NoDQ, so if he wants to live stream his thoughts on the show, he can do that. But no, I will not be doing a review video of the New Japan show. I won't be watching it, but I'm sure it'll be a really good show, and somebody from Team NoDQ will review that show, I'm sure of it. I don't even care if we see Undertaker, Ryan. I'm over it. I think it's time for Undertaker to move on. Call it a career. Cindy just sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Cindy. She says, I'll be doing a G1 Supercard review on Instagram Live. Well, there you go. go ahead and see, I'm starting to lose my voice now. Cindy, go ahead and follow Cindy, NoDQ.com/Cindy, and I'm sure she will direct you to her Instagram, which I believe is simply_C_OK. And George says, Christy says, first time commenter on NoDQ. Well, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And for anybody else out there, if you enjoyed this video, please spread the word. Best thing you can do if you're looking to help out the NoDQ brand and the channel, just spread the word. Word of mouth goes a really long way. If you have a friend who watches wrestling, have them check out this video. Have them check out NoDQ.com. Caitlin just said Aaron, so I think she's pressuring me to end this stream pretty soon. Virtue says, I'll do a Facebook when I get to condo, NoDQ.com/Virtue. Virtue just had to let you guys know he has a condo because he's a baller. He makes more money than all the NoDQ people combined, apparently. So make sure you guys follow Virtue. Brando says, I thought WrestleMania 35 was going to be 7.5 hours. Yeah, probably. Wouldn't shock me if it's like 8 hours. I mean, so let's see. There's the 2-hour kickoff. So the kickoff starts at 5 Eastern. And then it's going to, 7.5 hours. I believe like it's scheduled to end at 12:30 a.m. But it could end up going longer than that. Maybe it'll go up. Maybe we'll get lucky, and it'll go shorter than that. But with potentially 17 matches on this card, anything is possible. Tommy says, one more stop, I'm coming. So Tommy was getting off before, and now he's coming. And Don Wooding says, your wife wants you to say goodnight, Aaron, LOL. Legends Gaming says, how upset will WWE be, or WWE fans will be if Brock retains? Can you say bye-bye record-based fans? They'll complain and then they'll just keep watching, standard procedure. I'm fine if Brock retains, by the way. I don't even care at this point. I'm like, whatever. Plus, if Becky wins the title to close the show, I think fans will forget about it anyways. I'm fully expecting Brock to retain, so it's not like it's going to shock me or upset me. I've already accepted that potential outcome. Would I like Rollins to win? Yeah. I like to see Rollins win and Brock either do something different, break away from Paul Heyman, or just go away. But yeah, my feeling is Brock's going to retain, and I'm just going in with that mindset that he's probably going to retain. The next takeover is June 7th in San Jose, California. It will be a standalone NXT pay-per-view. It's not going to be attached to one of the big shows. And I believe they're running in the smaller venue. They're not going to run in the San Jose Shark Tank, which is like 15,000 people. It's the smaller building where they ran WrestleMania 31 weekend, and that's something like 5,000-6,000 people, which is probably a good idea since they don't have the big show attached to it. So, I don't know if NXT can draw that 15,000 crowd to a standalone show. I just don't know if they have that much popularity to do that. Even though the shows are amazing all the time, NXT is still more or less for a niche audience. And, it's the fact that all these people are in town for WrestleMania, which is why I think they drew 15,000 people tonight. I know for Survivor Series, they did not sell out. The War Games did not sell out. The NXT Chicago I went to did not sell out. NXT, they might be able to draw 5,000 people. It's possible. And it is a pretty big market. San Jose, San Francisco, Bay Area. They might be able to pull it off. All right, Tommy, I'll give you a few more minutes here. But I'll give you maybe 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to sign off. Cindy said, I'll let you know if I might go. That would be great, Cindy. And if you do go, I'm sure you'll have an amazing time. But it might, who knows, if there is a lot of demand for tickets, you might have trouble getting the tickets for that. George Robbins says these live comments are great, loving the interactions. Well, thank you for that, George. I appreciate it. And I really enjoyed doing the live streams. And I did mention before that I plan on doing more Q&As live moving forward here. Just because I feel like that old concept of doing the Q&As pre-recorded, I feel like times are changing and the live streaming is the future, and the idea of being able to interact with people in the live chats. I just feel like it's a better process moving forward to do the live Q&As. Tommy says he's downloading Skype. Okay, well, hopefully Tommy can get it figured out within the next couple minutes. Caleb Jacob says, I might go to a WWE show in Portland next time, Aaron. Well, we'll see if Portland gets a WWE pay-per-view anytime soon. I don't think they're getting one for the next year. I did hear a rumor maybe about Elimination Chamber, but we'll see about that. Portland, interesting trivia note. Portland, Oregon has not gotten a WWE pay-per-view since 2008. No Mercy. Don Wooding with the $2 super chat says, could you see the Boss and Hug at the next Takeover? Possibly. I mean, I would not rule it out. It is San Jose, which makes sense for Bayley to be there in her hometown. So yeah, and even the fact that Bayley and Sasha Banks said they would take on all comers, yeah, I'd have them. And I know somebody mentioned the Pirate Princesses facing the Boston Hug Connection. Maybe it will happen. Okay, so looks like Tommy is trying to call in. Let's see if we can get him on here. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
It's going all right. It's raining downtown Manhattan right now. We're getting a little wet, but it's Midtown Manhattan. Sorry.
Oh, wow, it's loud out there. Yeah, I could see the skyscrapers back there.
Yeah, it's beautiful down here despite the rain.
Nice.
But NXT was absolutely fantastic last night. I think the ones prior were a little bit better, but this one was still really, really good anyways.
So what would be your all-time favorite NXT if not this one?
Ooh, I would say last year would have to be my favorite one. Or the first one with Sasha and Bayley. You know, that was probably the best women's match I've ever seen, ever. TV, in person. That one was really, really good. Probably one of my favorite NXTs as well. I don't know. I've enjoyed all four of them.
Yeah, I mean, I was torn. Like, I really liked the first Brooklyn one, and then last year's New Orleans was right up there. So it's a tough call.
You know, I got to tell you, tonight there was a guy behind us that kept falling asleep on numerous occasions throughout the show, and the fans were chanting, "Wake up," and they would go nuts when the person next to one would wake him up. It was really, really funny, but I didn't fall asleep at NXT.
Was it Virtue?
It was not Virtue. But overall, it was a really, really good show. Surprisingly, though, the fans seemed a little dead midway through the show. The opening tag team match really exhausted everybody. We were all beat after that.
Right. Yeah.
But towards the main event, everybody started waking up. It was a really, really good main event. We enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like the perfect length, but the thing is, like, those first 2 and even 3 matches had so much action that I could see the fans getting burned out a little bit, and you need a little bit of a break. So yeah, I felt like the crowd heat was probably the weakest for the women's match.
Yeah, the fans were really, really quiet for the women's match. I feel like it could have went a little bit longer. They could have done a little bit more in that match to get the fans really going. But the whole way through, the show was just so good. And when every single match back to back to back is so good, it's really hard to go out there and continuously follow. So, you know, after a while, the fans really were burnt out, especially after Pete Dunne versus Walter, which was absolutely fantastic.
So what would you say was your favorite match of the night?
The main event, and then Walter versus Pete Dunne follows it right there. But the main event definitely was the best match of the night.
Well, there you go. I'll have to poll some people on NoDQ to see what their favorite match was of the night, and also if this takeover was better than New Orleans from last year.
What do they say? Is the main event the best match?
I think that's pretty much the consensus, but I'll have to put up the poll anyways to see what people think.
Give that main event the biggest thumbs up. That was absolutely fantastic. The whole way through, it was really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the crowd got what they wanted. The fans got to finally see Gargano win the title. So, you know, you had that big feel-good moment for sure.
Did everybody see Ciampa come out at the end, or
yes.
did that go?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, they did the thing. They did the thing with the credits again, where they show the credits and then, you know, like a throwback to what happened in Chicago.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ciampa was pretending to throw Johnny Gargano's girlfriend into the Titantron. I don't know if that made the air or not. It was really funny.
Oh, that must have been after the show ended then.
Yeah, it was really funny. But
all right, cool. Well, anything else you would like to say about the show, or anything you would like to plug or promote?
One of my really, really good friends, Stefan Benson, the golden voice of professional wrestling, he won the $1 million tonight.
Oh, nice.
Which was really, really awesome. So shout out to him for doing that. You know, I've been talking to him quite a bit. He's been working really hard on that, so I'm really proud of him for that. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to plug. You guys can find me on Facebook. Oh, and I'm throwing a tailgate for WrestleMania on Sunday in Lot G, so if anyone wants to stop by for some free food and free drinks, by all means. So.
Okay, where can they follow you to get information on that?
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care, Tommy.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right. Lot G, he said. So make sure you guys head to Lot G and try to find him there. That was Tommy. Thank you, Tommy, for calling in. All right, guys, so on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please keep spreading the word, and I'll see you guys soon. I'll be back for... I don't think I'm going to live stream after Hall of Fame unless I feel there's something really noteworthy to talk about. But if not, I will be back, of course. WrestleMania, I will be doing my full review, and that's going to be a pretty crazy stream. So stay tuned for that. Spread the word. Buy a shirt, 20% off right now.